Good afternoon, everyone. We'll move on to item number 1, Chair's announcements. As I do that, I'd like to welcome Councillor Derek Cundy to his, I think it's the first time he's been here. I saw him earlier, Alison. I hope he's still here. Is he here? Anyway.
Yeah.
Can't see his name.
He hasn't come back in yet, Chair.
He hasn't come back in, so I'm welcoming him. He's not here. That's a good start to the meeting. There we are. I knew we'd have a good. It's me. I've had the design. I'm going to stick to the scripts, and I'll welcome him if he turns up. Good afternoon. Welcome to this virtual meeting of the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee Overview and Scrutiny Subcommittee. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Please ensure your phones are switched off to silent during the meeting. And in addition, when asked to raise your hand, could I request that you do so with your electronic hand? You'll be pleased to know that I have no shock announcements or anything else to report. It's a fairly quiet day here on this South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee Subcommittee. So I'm going to move on to item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? If members have any declarations in relation to any of the reports on today's agenda, can you please indicate now? Alison will email you a copy of the declaration form for you to complete and return.
I can't see any indications, Chair.
Nor can I, Alison. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to item number 3. Before us, we have the minutes of the 16th of January and the 15th of February. Actually, do any members have any comments? No. Okay, I'm desperately trying not to rush through this agenda, but so far so good. If we can please have a proposer and a seconder, I intend to take them both together as one item. Anyone happy to propose the minutes?
I propose, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I thought I was going to be left hanging there. Anyone willing to second?
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
Sorry, I heard the voice, but I didn't see who that was.
I think that was Tim proposing, and I'm happy to second. Chair.
Oh, sorry, Mark. Okay,
that's right.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Tim. I'm confused. See, I knew it was going to be a funny day today. There we are. Honestly. Right. So that's good. So can all have everyone raise their hands, please, if they're happy to accept the minutes? Lovely. Okay. That looks like a consensus there, Alison. Good.
Yes, Chair.
So thank you. So I'm delighted now to move on to agenda item number 4, the South West Wales Regional Transport Plan Programme update, which is in page 13 to 20 in your packs. And also we've got Christy Tillman here, who's I believe is about to say a few words for us on this. Can I hand over to you, Christy?
Good afternoon. I'm presenting today on behalf of the Leads for Swansea. And in terms of my role, I'm the Head of Policy and Business Administration for the Corporate Joint Committee for South West Wales. So in terms of the purpose of the report really is to inform members as an information update really on the report that went forward to the CJC on the 23rd of May and has been subsequently approved. The purpose of the report really was to highlight an amendment to the approved or programme of works really in terms of key dates. And the main purpose being really due to the elections, there was an ambition to undertake an early consultation ahead of submitting the draft regional transport plan in October. And it was fully endorsed with Welsh Government. However, it was felt that it'd be postponed until after the elections. So in terms of stakeholder engagement and the public consultation, that has now gone live, and the public consultation now is active from the 15th of July up until the 26th of August, and it's available on our South West Wales website, and it's also showing links there where hard copies can be attained within each region as well. In terms of progress on the RTP, obviously we've had the implementation plan and the case for change approved, and there's a letter then from Welsh Government in the pack as Appendix 1. commenting really on the good work that's been undertaken by the region to attain the progress we have. In terms of the next steps, obviously the aim is to prepare a draft policy document that can be shared as an update to Welsh Government by late July, and then bring back then to the Corporate Joint Committee in September the findings of the consultation together with the draft regional transport plan then in terms of making any final adjustments ahead of submitting then by late October. So I'm just checking. And I think that's the update really.
Okay, Christy, thank you very much for that. Do members have any questions? Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm a bit concerned. There's a paragraph at the bottom of page 14 on my agenda, saying that the working group is still concerned about finance and final completion timeline. And looking at the letter from Ken Skates, where at the paragraph at the bottom of page 19, where he says that as guidance, Welsh Government funding for local transport grants across the whole of Wales has been £135 million. And I read that as saying they're going to be top slicing money from local transport grants to fund the regional transport policies, which of course is going to impact on a lot of local councils' work program, and particularly road safety. Of course, they've got the extra money now in terms of the 20 miles per hour. There just doesn't appear to be enough money around to do everything they want us to do, and they seem to be passing that burden on to us. So I'm just wondering, have we had any further representations to Welsh Government about this, or do the committee share my concerns?
So, again, I can only provide you with an update of what I'm already privy to, and one of the sort of correspondence documents that has been shared back to Welsh Government was in relation to the funding, where the Cabinet Secretary highlighted that the allocated funding is to be utilised towards the regional transport plan together with the development of the strategic development plan as well. Whereas the chair of the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee has written back to Welsh Government to explain the constraints we're facing as a committee in terms of the limited budget, and also the fact that the level of funding that's been approved will only just about cover the consultation works that we're planning now under the RTP. That's alone, without any other developments of the strategic development plan as well. So again, as a chair, they have fed back the concerns in terms of budgets, and having sat on the All Wales group for CJCs as well, I think the sort of feedback is more or less mirrored throughout Wales as well from the other groups.
Okay, can I suggest, Chair, that we tell the chair of the committee that we share his concerns, and that we would certainly back up this, because it looks to me like they're asking us to produce miracles on thin air.
Well, thank you, Peter. I mean, I know we've certainly expressed that view before,
Yeah.
to the CJC, and the CJC have been fully supportive and in exactly the same position. I think I would agree, based on what Christy said as well, that we certainly have that general sense of feeling of the need of resources to be put in, and I'm happy, Alison, for us to just support the chair with the letter that's been sent through. I think that would be a way of us doing that. I think the chair of the CJC has done that quite effectively. It's interesting, the letter. I mean, my only concern with the reply from Ken Skates was the section in the third paragraph where it says lengthy reporting should be avoided, which I was a bit curious about that. It's quite an in-depth thing, but there we are. I see the need to be succinct, I suppose, but that was my only thing. But yes, Peter, I'm happy for us to do that, please, Alison, if we could confirm our support for the chair of the CJC.
I think the new part of this, Chair, is the implication that he's got a top slice money from the local transport grant. Which I think is a matter of concern. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how you've come to that, but I think for now, if we just support this, I mean, and maybe when we get to the forward work program, we can look at the RTP again as something for us to think about in the next agenda, in the following agenda items. Okay, has anyone else got any comments on this or queries? No. Okay. So it's just for noting, isn't it, Alison? So we'll move on to agenda item 5. Christy, over to you again, please.
Thank you very much. This is an item covered by myself as previously. So the purpose of this paper really is to provide an update on where we are in terms of implementing the compliance notice of the Welsh language standards. We were issued with a draft notice previously, but we've received the final compliance notice then on the 24th of April this year, with the implementation date as being late October 24 then. So the purpose really of the report that went forward to the Corporate Joint Committee on the 23rd of May 24 was to highlight really that we have received the compliance notice embedding the standards applicable to the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee, and asking really for the recommendation that the Chief Executive, Will Bramble, will review and implement that notice to demonstrate acceptance of the standards by the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee. One thing I will highlight here as well, within the pack, obviously between pages 21 and 100, the whole appendice document, and it highlights the notice itself, the correspondence, but there's also a confirmation there that there's an exemption then on 2 standards, which are 145 and 146, related to promotion, and they relate to the fact of undertaking a 5-year strategy on how we promote the Welsh language, and also then how we do that assessment and publish our findings on the website. So again, that's been excluded really from our compliance, but that's not to say that as a part of the compliance to the standards that we will endeavour to promote the Welsh language as best as we can as well.
Okay, diolch yn fawr, Christy.
Diolch.
Am hyn. Oes ateb? Anyone? Question? Anyone? Sorry. Diolch. Thanks, translation.
Oh.
Okay, so duly noted then. And we'll move on to agenda item 6. Christy, this is like a one person show. This you've got this again. So the corporate plan 2023 to 2028 corporate priorities. If I can hand over to you again, please. Thank
you very much. So again, the purpose of the report really is to seek endorsement from members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and to give you an overview really of what the corporate plan entails. So the title of the report is the Corporate Plan version 2, and it's version 2 on the basis that it's looking at priorities for 24-25, following the consultation that was undertaken in January. And as a part of the consultation, it ran between the dates the 26th of January and the 18th of February. And to that time, then we had 13 responses. So it was really keen, really, to look at what those responses were and how we could implement them, really, in terms of our priorities going forward. So when we consulted, the purpose really was to consult on the actions proposed on how we deliver against our wellbeing objectives, rather than against the whole plan itself. So I think it's really important that our wellbeing objectives remain the same. It's the actions that have been reviewed, and they may have been adjusted accordingly. Sorry. Is there any particular part you want me to go through? Because I think there's quite a bit in there, and I'm happy to share my screen and I can go through it perhaps a little bit easier for us all.
Okay, thanks, Christy. That might be a good idea. I know, Councillor Percy, Sean, you had a question related to this item. Do you want to bring that up now and we can go from there?
Certainly.
Yeah, that's no problem. Bear with me a second. Let me just get my papers up. There we go. So just in relation to the action plan in particular at the back of the document, there's quite a few references to the Regeneration Directors Group that are picking up several pieces of work. And I just wondered if we could have a bit of information as to how that group interacts with the CJC and what its sort of status is. On a few of those items, that the statement that they're looking at it is sort of in lieu of a progress update. So there's sort of gaps really in information on some of the actions. And I'm just not really sure how it works structure-wise in terms of that group. Are they being instructed by the CJC or is it something else?
Thank you very much. I hope I can answer as best as I can. If I just try and get to the sort of action plan. So again, just before I answer that question, really, it's looking at those well-being objectives. We have 3, but they're sort of 4 in reality, because we've got regional economic well-being and economic development, and embedded within that well-being objective, we've also got regional energy, and then furthermore, then we've got the regional transport planning, and then lastly, then it's strategic development planning and land use. So derived from those well-being objectives, we had 4 subcommittees formed on the back of them, really. So to ensure governance, decision making, and again ensuring that information, ideas and suggestions were cascaded both from the region to the CJC, and likewise we had leads really for each of those well-being objectives, or what we refer to also as functions of the CJC. So in terms of our constitution, within the constitution, each authority is a lead for one of those functions or well-being objectives, both for an executive lead and a political lead. And if you like, I can just run through them quite quickly with you now. They are in our constitution documents as well. So what we're looking at, we've got Swansea as the lead for regional transport, and the political lead then being Carmarthenshire. Likewise then with economic development and economic well-being, we have Carmarthenshire as being the executive lead, with Swansea being the political lead. In terms of regional energy, we have Neath Talbot being the executive lead, and Pembrokeshire being the political lead, and then strategic planning has Pembrokeshire as the executive lead, and Neath Talbot then as the political lead. So in terms of the constitution, those are the sort of lead groups and lead authorities. In terms of how it works in the region, prior to the CJC, there has been sort of formed working groups, which we refer to as being core groups and director groups. And the director groups, they tend to be constant throughout each authority in terms of being the directorate of place in each authority. And those directors then leading on those themes report back to a programme board and steering group, again formed under the Corporate Joint Committee. Does that answer the...
Okay. Sean, are you happy with the answer there?
If I could just come back briefly.
Yeah, please do.
No, that does clarify things to a point. So the interaction is between that group and the programme board. I suppose, just in terms of how this has been set out, in lieu of a progress update, if you scroll down on some of the priorities and actions, it's just sort of deferred effectively to the regional regeneration directors group without any further comment. And that's perhaps a little bit concerning. If there's no update, I suppose there's no update. But obviously there's no direct way of contacting that group, and they don't publish anything. So any progress should, I suppose, be noted in this document one way or the other, rather there being sort of ambiguity around a group that is outside of the CDHC structure. Does that make sense?
Okay. What I can sort of build upon here as well is that obviously we've consulted really on those actions, and I think from here on it's really pushing more activity and getting more engagement from our stakeholders really. And I think as a part of that, we're holding a workshop in November looking at what priorities we have in place now, and are they still remaining fit for purpose for 25-26. So there's a lot of opportunity here for continuous improvement, and I'll certainly take on board any sort of offers and suggestions that we can build upon. But as it stands now, the wellbeing objectives aren't subject to change, but the actions need to be reviewed really in terms of if they have been satisfied fully. We need to make sure that we're reviewing what those priorities are going to look like for 25-26 as well. And a part of the work then is again, as a part of participation and engagement, is making sure that we are getting the best out of our stakeholders as we can, and that includes our communities as well as our existing working groups within each authority, and again making sure that the officers attending are still current to those themes as well.
Okay, hopefully that helps, Sean. Are you happy now with that answer for now?
I'll let some other members come in for the time being. Diolch.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tierney, Mark, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Christy, for the update. I mean, I'm just a little bit concerned at the level of stakeholder engagement, really, for something that, is quite a big thing. And because of what we're trying to achieve, really, I suppose, across the regional footprint. Can you sort of explain who those stakeholders are that have been engaged with, and when those meetings were taking place? Because I've missed something, but I wasn't aware of it. And then sort of within the plan itself, there's a level of consultation that has been alluded to, and I just can't find the page now because I'm scrolling back to it, but there were sort of percentages given across the region. I think the highest turnout of response was in the Neath Talbot area, but in the Pembrokeshire area there was maybe just one respondent. So I just wonder how we are making sure that people are aware of what is trying to be achieved. I'm aware that there's an organisation called For the Region, which was doing some work in Carmarthenshire last week. It's done some work in Pembrokeshire previously. I'm just wondering, who is being engaged with to carry out the consultation on behalf of the committee?
Okay. In terms of the corporate plan has been published and promoted through the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee webpage in the main. And in terms of the wellbeing objectives and the functions, there is an independent then follow-up consultation purely on them. And as I mentioned earlier on with the regional transport plan, before we've sort of drafted the policy, that consultation now is live. So in that case, it's again promoted through our webpage, and there's further details there of where hard copies can be attained. In terms of working groups, you've got representation from officers from each authority. You've also got representation again from Welsh Government and other specialist bodies. So again, using regional transport being an example, we've got Transport for Wales working closely with us to avoid any consultancy. Again, on the advice from Welsh Government as well, that we should reduce where we can. So again, as it stands at the moment, the consultation really is built upon from what findings we've gained from implementing the initial corporate plan, building on that feedback and highlighting really opportunity of, if we didn't get a great response from the last consultation, trying to find out what happened, how we can improve. And I think that has definitely been fed into the regional transport plan as well. And I'm finding that in terms of communication, each authority is promoting our consultations through social media as well as just advertising on their own independent website as well.
Thank you, Christy. I think some of this is still because it's quite new, isn't it? You know, and it's all coming through, and we've discussed the fact that it's also not particularly well funded either. Councillor John, have you got a question?
I think me and Councillor Tierney had the same thoughts, because as he was looking for the page, I got the page in front of me, 225, where it says about the report based on the consultation. There's only 16 responses. I just wonder the value of a consultation when there's only 16 responses, and any decisions aren't really representative of views. So it was just alluded to. I was going to try and improve that. So. We just accept that. I wanted to ask a question about a plan, actually, if I just went into general questions, and it may seem quite minor, there might be a reason for it, but on page 124, there's a plan showing the transport network and national parks and that sort of thing. I just wondered why the A477 to Pembroke Dock hadn't been highlighted as a strategic route. I mean, that is the same as the one to Fishguard, the A40, that is a route to the docks in Pembroke Dock, to the ferry, very important route south of the county of Pembrokeshire. Just is there a reason that wasn't included as a strategic route?
Sorry, I would be unable to answer that question now. But what I can say, previously, prior to the case for change being approved, I know Councillor Darren Price did raise the importance really of ensuring that all regions are considered fully, highlighting really the rural areas of especially Carmarthenshire and Pembrokeshire, and they were included within the scope really of that case for change document. So as I mentioned now, there is a policy document being developed together with the findings of the consultation. So again, hopefully that there'll be more detail coming from that as a part of the paper presented to both Scrutiny and Corporate Joint Committee really early September. So that might be a better option then to discuss that further.
Yeah, okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Did you have your hand up again, Mark, or was that a legacy hand?
Well, I did. Christy's kind of covered it. I mean, I think I did highlight the ferry ports and the A477 in a previous Scrutiny committee, and clearly none of that information has been fed back. So, you know, if we're going to spend time having these conversations, it would be useful if that material was included in, you know, as a standing document. This is meant to give an overview of the snapshot of where we are at currently. And if some of that isn't being adequately noted, then I'm not sure how we build for the future. So it would be useful if we could just assure ourselves that the feedback that is being provided by members is actually going somewhere.
I think in terms of the document that we're looking at here, and I think it's really important to highlight really, is the content on the body of the corporate joint, the corporate plan has not changed. It's more so the appendices in terms of what was in place last year, and asking really the communities to have their views on what those actions looked like. So I think in terms of taking on board your views, they are built into the feedback that we've gained from each of the committees and what's been approved in CJC. So again, I can only reinforce the fact that as we work towards the next workshop in the autumn, this will be a great opportunity to reflect on where we are now and put those new priorities and actions in then for 25-26.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. I think that, you know, the point by Councillor John is well made about the consultation as well. We're trying to get a wider engagement with consultation to make it more to feel like maybe it's a bit more valuable if we get a bit of a wider participation. But I think we can all agree that we're all working to try and do that within the limited resources that the CJC have, and hopefully it will improve over time. Bear with me a second, please. think this is just for noting again, is it, Alison? Isn't it? Nothing we have to do on this?
No, Chair, if there were just any comments they wish to add, but it's
Yeah.
just for noting. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to thank you, Christy, for your stellar contribution today in item 4, 5, and 6. It's been really helpful, and I hope we haven't gone too hard on those areas. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to agenda item 7, the forward work programme, unless anyone has any objections. No, good. So we can do that and consider our future work programme team. So has anyone got any thoughts? I think particularly we were looking at the September meeting, which is down, I think, Alison, is it for the 3rd of September?
Yes, Chair, our meeting is the 3rd, and the next meeting of the CJC Joint Committee is on the 12th of September. So we've got a copy of both the forward work programmes on the agenda. So I don't know if members wish to select the items they wish to see at our next meeting from the Corporate Joint Committee forward work programme, Chair.
Thank you, Alison. Have I got any suggestions, please, from members, what we'd like to see?
I would suggest, Chair, that the RTP policy and consultation findings come back before this committee, before the decision is taken. You may wish to also have the programme update for the economic wellbeing and economic development, and also the strategic equality plan and the Q1 financial monitoring, Chair. They would be my suggestions.
Okay, yeah, I think those are good suggestions. I had they included what I was going to suggest for some of it. That's brilliant. I wondered about the appointments of the consultation. I've forgotten the language. But the
private sector advisory board
the private
appointments.
sector board appointments. Is that something we could look at as well, or is that something that would it be appropriate for us to do that or not?
That's not something I would suggest, Chair, unless members
won't do
have
it
any
then.
specifics.
It's fine. Okay, no problem. So otherwise, I'm happy to accept your suggestions. I'm sorry, Sean, I have seen your hand. I didn't mean to ignore it. Would you like to come in?
Yeah, no, that's okay. No problem, Chair. Yeah, no, I agree with bringing back the transport policy update, given that we've been following that one for a while. Did we? I didn't quite catch everything you said there, Alison. You cut out, but did you bring up the regional energy subcommittee update as well? I think that would be useful for us to.
I didn't, but we can certainly add that to the forward work programme if members want that.
Yeah, I think just it's obviously it's one of the important pieces of work the CJC is doing, but it's quite topical as well. I think with some UK and Welsh Gov decisions lately, that would perhaps we keep abreast of what's going on there.
Okay. Would it need to be? Wouldn't want to or have all of this in September, would we? Is it just?
It's an information report, so we could put it on another meeting, I suppose.
That's what I was. Yeah, just because I think I agree with the consensus. I think the RTP is going to, and with the consultation being closed, hopefully a well responded to consultation, that we might have some lengthy discussion on that. I don't want us to.
If I pop the energy update on the October meeting then, Chair, the 14th of October, and then we can reassess at our September meeting if it's relevant to forward then.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Any other suggestions? September's a long way away. Not sure what we'll be doing then. Who knows? Okay. Good. Well, then I'm going to move on. No other suggestions. I'm going to move on to agenda item 8, urgent items. There are no urgent items, none that I've been made aware of. Unless anyone needs to raise anything now. No. Okay. So I'd like to thank you all for attending today's meeting, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, and I'll formally close the meeting.